Special thanks to our promotional partners at the American Philatelic Society.
The APS is the largest stamp collecting organization in the world, supporting collectors of any level worldwide.
For more information about membership and APS services, visit stamps.org.
We can also touch on it at the end, too.
Yeah.
I'm Charles Epting from H.R. Harmer in New York City.
And I'm Michael Cortese of Noble Spirit in Pittsfield, New Hampshire.
And once again, we are Conversations with Philatelists. Michael, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it's been a little while because it's been a while since we've done this in front of the camera with one another. We've spoken essentially every day in the interim about stamps and about life and about I'm not sure there's a difference sometimes. But it's been a little while since we've done an episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
People have been very quick to point out.
Yeah, I've replied to as many emails as I can and comments and tweets and stuff like that. It's just we've been.
Yeah, it's nothing bad. It's actually been quite good that we've both been so busy. We still love doing the podcast. We had a really good unbroken streak there of not missing a week. But
like
this first part, this first part of the year though has been a bit hectic. But we're back. Like, there may be the occasional missed week, but I'd love to get back on a schedule of a couple of times a month doing this. Let's get some more live streams in there. We're back. CWP is back with not knowing whose internet is cutting out. That's our signature move. No, it feels good to be back. And it's also really exciting that we're talking to somebody today who we've wanted to talk to for a long time. He's one of my oldest friends in the hobby. He's literally like the second or third person I ever met in the hobby. And we've been trying to talk to him for a while, but there's been a project that has been coming up. And we really wanted to talk to him about something in particular, and we didn't want to have him on prematurely. So we're going to be talking to Jay Bugalke from Amos Media. That's Scott Catalogue and Lynn Stamp News. He is the, I'm going to be honest, I don't even know his official job title because he just does everything at Lynn's and Scott. He's the editor. He's the head. He's the editor-in-chief of Lynn's.
I think,
Yes, but I just know him as the guy who does all of that. And again, Jay's one of my closest friends in this hobby. Really excited to finally be welcoming him on to CWP. I think he's a great first guest to have back on, and certainly a lot of news coming out of Scott Catalogue in particular lately. And I think we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So without further ado, he's actually here. I'm going to hit the admit button now.
We're going to bring him in.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Hey.
Hey.
So it's been 2 years that I've dreamt of this.
Been that long?
It has.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. How's it going, man?
I'm here.
You know what? I feel like I have to reposition my camera angle now.
Why is that?
I'm feeling upstaged.
Well, it is.
Oh, because the Titanic? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got my. You know what? We can leave this all in. This is what people missed. I've got my my Tatooine homestead kitchen.
Well, I thought this was a Lego podcast.
You know what?
I saw that episode in the last few
You know
years.
what? You know what? At times, I wish it would be. No, I see behind you one Lego set. You cleared off the shelf of additional Lego sets.
Well, no, is that the Empire State Building?
No, that's actually just a metal one. No, there's only one Lego set in that scene. There's a globe and a typewriter.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you can you show off the globe really quick, because that's one of the coolest Lego sets ever made.
Oh,
yeah, Michael, look at that.
Jeez.
You know what? I see us wrapping this conversation up in 45 minutes without having mentioned Scott Catalogue.
It's easy to do. Here's the Amos reference.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big, right?
That's Lego. I have.
That doesn't even look like. That just looks so realistic.
You guys know what's not Lego? Is this.
It's like the same thing.
It's essentially the same typewriter, but it's a typewriter.
All right. Well, we can keep going.
I can't.
Oh, I think I saw
Michael, you sent me a link to those.
Yeah.
So this typewriter, actually, let's connect it back to Philately. I bought that typewriter, Jay. Do you remember where?
Cleveland, Garfield, Perry.
Reno, Nevada, APS Winter Show.
Close.
It was a stamp show. It was a stamp show. So
that's right. You had to figure out how to get it back.
That went through the TSA, the scanner, and freaked everyone out because
it's a portable.
It is portable. They didn't have well, actually, they did have airplanes when it was made. We may or may not leave all of this in, but let's I guess circle back around. I would like to just keep having that conversation for a while. We're here with Jay Bugalke of Lynn's and Scott Catalogue and Amos Media. And in debating your job title, Jay, I said you're just kind of the guy who did everything.
When it comes to stamps at Amos Media Company, yeah, that's me.
Yep. You are at your offices in
Sydney, Ohio.
Sydney, Ohio right now. Can you give everyone, before we get into the conversation about your exciting new developments, can you give everyone just sort of a brief rundown of your philatelic CV?
Well, it all started at a small town in Reedfield, Wisconsin. There's about 75 people that live there. There are more cows than people. But
76 cows.
Yeah, they still have a post office to this day. It opens only for a couple hours a day, but back when I was kind of first getting introduced to the stamp world, it was my great grandmother who introduced me to the stamps on postcards. And then I had to go pick up the mail for the family, so I kept going to the post office. Well, that's how I discovered stamps. And started buying them with my 25-cent allowance or whatever it was at the time. And then I got a real job at a diner nearby and started.
Just to clarify, this was before RFD? This was before rural free delivery, like?
I think so.
Early 20th century?
Yeah, somewhere around there. 1992, 3. So, yeah. But yeah, so that it was kind of how the money started flowing with to the post office, was that I'd work at a diner and then I'd go to the post office and I started buying full sheets of stamps, and I discovered Lynn's Stamp News along the way from a stamp collector that showed me that. And on the front cover was a ceremony for the Iowa statehood stamp on August 1st in 1995. And so when that issue of Lynn's showed up, I asked my dad if we could go to the ceremony, which is like a 5-hour drive, and we never went on long road trips. He agreed, and that was my first day of issue ceremony. So it took 21 years later, but I went to a first day ceremony in all 50 states. Wow. And a couple of the territories, and I think about 250 first day ceremonies. Wow. The placard right there, the birds, that was the state number 50. It was Vermont. That was the podium placard that I might have walked off with after the event.
You shouldn't confess to that on camera. Yeah. and how did you? So you read Lynn's? That was your introduction to first day ceremonies. How did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, that was with first day ceremonies. Then the Postal Service, for some reason, issued a bunch of stamps in the late 90s in Wisconsin, which was great because there are a lot of active stamp collectors in Wisconsin, and they kind of roped me into things. I went to the University of Wisconsin in Madison in 2000, and actually created first day covers and things throughout the 5 years that I spent at school, and basically paid for most of my college expenses with that. So, and then I instantly after college, I applied for the job at Lynn's Stamp News and got it within a week of applying.
Wow.
And I have maybe never worked a day of my life outside of stamps since then. So
that's fantastic.
So a lot of people are, I would guess that basically everyone listening to us is familiar with Lynn's and Scott.
Yeah. So
we don't have to go there.
No.
But can you talk us through what has happened with Scott Catalogue in the last, I don't remember the timeline. What has it been? Sort of 6 months or so since the rollout began with the new digital. Can you sort of walk us through digitization efforts for Scott in general? Because there's been various incarnations of the digital catalog.
Right. So when I first started for the company back in 2005, that was when they had the CDs. Remember those things?
Yeah.
And they were heavily pirated. And I remember that conversation at the time. I was never at a level of actually dealing with the production of it. but I knew that was going on, and then it stopped. I don't know exactly, in the late 2009, 2000, somewhere around there is when they did the first version of basically creating a flip book of the existing Scott catalog, which there's just so many pages to each individual volume that the e-readers available, it was a challenge at the time because there's a lot of data that is with those. So that was kind of the version that was out there from that point to about last year. So I know that, you joke that, I mean, you guys have been doing the show for 2 years now or whatever. So while everybody else was caught up in the Zoom craze, I was behind the scenes trying to make this happen because I knew that this would give something more to the hobby than, doing a number of Zoom calls. Now I can play catch up on that front.
Right.
And I have used we have our physical Scott catalogs sitting somewhere in the office, actually right behind the computer screen. But I've used the digital catalog as well. Up until recently, the concept was that you would basically buy this flip book of a print catalog. So you'd get the 2020 or 2021. You could get the specialized or the classic or whatnot, but it was basically a static, fixed document.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you'd pay X amount of dollars and you would have access to that file in perpetuity.
Right.
What is the concept behind the new version of the digital catalog? And Michael and I are of the generation that has Apple Music and Spotify and Disney Plus and whatnot. But for people who maybe weren't raised with streaming, because I've had streaming as long as I can basically remember, what is sort of the layman's version of the difference between the old catalog and the new catalog?
Right. So one of the things that we did initially was we have our existing customer base for the old digital catalog. We sent a survey out to all of them and also to our entire Amos Advantage line of products. And it was a survey asking, would you prefer a subscription method to get to the Scott catalog, or would you prefer, the way we were doing it at the time? And 75% of the respondents said they wanted to switch to a subscription model. So I was like, there we go. I know that, it's a big change, but you could already tell from that survey that people are already getting used to that, doing a subscription style thing.
And even, we use InDesign and Photoshop to do our advertising and whatnot. And I don't think people who don't use these programs on a regular basis, you cannot buy Photoshop anymore.
No,
I can't go buy a copy. I have to subscribe to Photoshop and plenty
Microsoft
of other
Office.
Yep, I was gonna say, Word is
the
same thing.
Antivirus. Yeah, it's all kind of everything's kind of moved to that. So it was the natural that we would try to do that. But what I wanted to do was get this to the market somewhat faster because our older version of the digital catalog was clunky. The search functionality just didn't work. I could never find anything and it was frustrating me. So I'm like, I knew I wasn't alone. So that's why, how do we use our existing tools to create something new? So that's why, and do something new. So the concept was basically creating a library of all of the countries almost in one folder that somebody can access it and they can search across everything that's in that volume, or they can search because they're probably going to know the country they were looking for if they were really going for it. Then you can just search within that country. So that's kind of, that was the initial part that I tasked our IT team. Actually, it was only kind of two of us that kind of did a lot of the heavy lifting up front, where it was just like, well, can we do that? Can we not do that? And so that's kind of how we got to this point.
So we talked a little bit at Westpex about the differences in the catalog itself and how it updates and the volumes and everything. Can you talk a little bit about how the search functionality works compared to the old one? Because you showed me how much better it was on the new one. Yeah, I mean,
when you search in the old version, you were searching across everything in volume 1. So if you typed in Scott 2121, you would end up getting every one of the Scott numbers like that throughout the whole issue. So it was, you had to look through the search results and go, well, I think that's it, and then click and go to it.
Mm-hmm.
So in the new one, you would already know the country. And then if you went into the country and you were going for 2121, you could actually use the navigation on the side to jump ahead by 500s in the Scott numbers. So you can kind of get to it a lot faster.
It's a lot more interactive rather than just like a physical digital
Yes.
PDF of scans and whatnot. So going forward into the subscription model itself, what are people subscribing to? Are they subscribing to just what the catalogs are, or can they subscribe to individual countries? Or
Yep.
can you talk a little bit about that?
So where we're at right now, we have the volume 1 through 6 catalogs. You can subscribe to the full run of volume 1 through 6, or you can get 1 and 3, and they'll actually show up in the same library together. So you do have that ability, and then you could search across those two if you really wanted to. We don't have individual countries quite yet, but I can somewhat of an exclusive tell you that we do have 4 new products that are going to be launching really soon here that are groupings. So because these are all built in a library system, we can put them together in any way that we want. So naturally, British Commonwealth, Germany and areas, France and colonies, and Portugal and colonies will all be groupings and subscriptions that'll be available soon.
So this
specialists that.
So just to clarify, right now, if I collect Germany and areas, Danzig is going to be in the D's, and Germany is going to be in the. You have to buy the whole run. So this will collect all of the German areas, all of the A to Z in one volume. That is fantastic, I think.
I mean, I think it's kind of a really big deal because it's not something that, I mean, there aren't too many collectors out there that I think buy all 1 through 6 just to get those. But now having the flexibility of being able to just get British Commonwealth or just get France and colonies, and at a much lower cost than the 1 through 6 catalog, you're going to be more likely to do something like that. One other feature that I didn't mention earlier is that we're starting to add imagery to every stamp. If we can get an image of it, we're already processing the images, and that's a slow thing to tag the database to actually picture everything. But there's thousands, 20, 30,000 of them that are right now in the queue to get tagged in the database. That's a huge deal. There are some countries in volumes 1, 2, and 3 here shortly that you'll start seeing complete runs of a set, and it looks pretty neat. You can actually find some of this stuff pretty easy by visual sight. So.
Well, that's one thing with one of the limitations of a printed catalog is, if it's a type set where all the stamps look the same, it's one thing. The Trail of the Caribou or something, they're just different colors and denominations.
Right.
But there's plenty of sets where Scott will just, the physical Scott catalog will picture the 1 cent value, and then it'll say 2 cent picture something. And you have to really be reliant on the text to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that feature of it because I've found, because I've been personally scanning in a lot of these stamps myself, so that we can add them in. I've scanned about 20,000 stamps myself. And then when it comes to renaming them, the digital catalog has been my go-to for actually locating it. I'll tell you, one of the hardest ones for me to do was renaming the United Nations stuff. Like, I scanned it in, but I could never find what the Geneva one was and what section that was. Oh my gosh. But I can tell you that I've got all of them scanned in, and that'll start showing at whatever point our imaging team gets done with those images. That'll probably be this fall. But I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
One thing that I've wondered about is each new issue of Lynn's monthly. Are the new issue listings also in the weekly?
They are not.
No, it's just monthly.
Yep.
So you get the new monthly in the mail. It's got new listings from around the world.
Yep.
And those are incorporated into the following year's Scott catalog.
Correct.
Will the catalogs be updated more frequently than once a year now that there's no limitation that you have to, create a PDF and then print.
Yep. So starting point on that front is for the United States, we are updating it every month when there's a new stamp issue. So it's already been updated. It's pretty neat that you can see all the stamps through. I think it was early April is when the latest one was that we updated with. The other thing with the U.S. specialized catalog is, we update the values twice a year. We have October, and then we have volume 1. Well, the U.S. specialized digital catalog was already updated with the volume 1 pricing. So it's even cooler to have the U.S. Digital subscription because it gets 2 value updates a year on that front. In addition to that, so all the other countries, though, as you mentioned, at this point, it's not happening because it would involve rebuilding files every month. And, until we kind of hit the ground running and see what the processes are behind it, we can't devote the time to updating every country. But it is definitely possible. So.
Can you, one thing there's been some discussion online, and I know Michael and I have seen a little bit about this, is the pricing component. And this is something that is obviously a complex subject. Can you just maybe give a word on pricing compared to the print edition, compared to comparable digital catalogs and things like that, how you came up with the numbers that you're at?
Right. I mean, when it's anything that, print versus digital, there's always been a gravitational pull for every organization and whatever they do to discount digital because it's cheaper. It's not. I mean, to be able to add all the additional features that we added to, index things, to scanning, to adding imagery to things, to figuring out how do we update things more frequently, it was priced accordingly for that. It is still less than a print catalog, but there's a lot more that you can do in the digital version that you could never do in print. A lot of people online have gravitated towards the 1 through 6 set. It is an expensive amount to go for, the full set, but there's just a challenge at that point. How do we figure out to offer that at a lower rate? Well, we had to start somewhere, and then there's opportunities for other things if we get more advertising support. If there are a lot more collectors that do subscribe. But at the few shows that I've gone to, and I walked up to the red box dealers and showed them the app, or well, not app. I mean, it's browser based, so you can access it wherever and whenever. I'd show it to them, and for the topical collectors that want to look for a certain fish or a rainbow on a stamp, or Green Bay Packers, whatever it ends up being, you can search the entire 1 through 6 catalog and come up with something pretty quick. So they're able to, in a way, upsell their customers, or not even upsell. They can actually just find the thing that they want, but they don't know how to look it up pretty quick. So that'll be an important tool for some people. The other thing that I've said, so like, let's say you subscribe to the U.S. specialized catalog, and you're in an antique shop and you want to know, is that the rare perf variety? Is that an EDU? I think it might be, but I'm not sure. You never had that ability to actually quickly look it up on your mobile phone, and now you can. So all it takes is one of those instances to find something cool that it starts paying for itself.
That's a great segue into a question that you knew was coming today. So let's say I'm on an airplane runway and my flight's about to take off. I've got to put my phone into airplane mode. I've got my Apple Music account, and I can download an album for offline listening for basically the duration of that flight until I remove it from my library. That doesn't mean I own the MP3 files. I cannot burn copies of it and pirate it. But Apple Music and Disney Plus and these apps allow you to save media for offline use. So let's say I'm at an antique store. I don't know if it's just my luck, but I feel like I've never been in an antique store with good cellular data.
You're in the wrong part of the U.S. I've
been to antique stores in every part of the U.S. Is this something that might come in the future where I could save maybe the Washington Franklins or the Confederate provisionals within a browser or within an app? Just so, again, not so that I can print off 100 copies and sell them on eBay, but a way to save certain pages that can be loaded without an internet connection.
Right. I mean, that is something that is not currently available. And it's just a challenge to be able to bring something to market, hopefully somewhat quickly, like we did, without really bogging down the IT process of things. However, I will comment on the airplane situation. They're making it really easy for you to connect online on an airplane. I mean, I was able to do work from Atlanta to San Francisco for Westpac or with full internet connection and use the catalog. So the potential is a little bit more, for the future. I do understand that I would love to be able to have an offline version of this. There is technology out there. We're just not there yet with this version.
And I will admit, my flight to Westpac from Lisbon, Portugal, I too accessed the digital catalog and described a bunch of Confederate provisional covers from 30,000 feet.
They are making it a whole lot easier.
So for now, people can still access their old digital catalogs.
If you purchased one of the older versions, that is still available too.
And is that going to be infinite? The people who purchase their old digital catalogs will always still have them? Because this is on a separate website.
Yeah, I mean, as infinite as one would think. I think, in reality, it'll just be when people stop logging in.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, when it's fair. Just painfully obvious that nobody is using that version of it, then that's when it would go away. But there's no, we're going to pull the plug on a certain date.
So do those digital catalogs as well, are those also offered in addition to the subscription model, or is it just the subscription model going forward?
We are only offering the subscription model moving forward.
Okay.
Lynn's Stamp News has an incredible archive going back 100 years.
No,
99 years.
It's 1929. I don't do math.
Oh, it's 29. Okay. I don't know why I was thinking early 20s.
Or somewhere.
You have a great archive, and many more recent issues are digitized, correct?
Yeah.
Is there has there been any thought to linking your two great assets that you have, Scott Catalog and Lynn's? So let's say that somebody wrote an article about Ecuadorian airmail stamp in 2007. Is there a way that I can be in my Scott Catalog and I'm looking for Ecuador C14 or whatever, and hey, somebody wrote an article about it, and there can be a hyperlink or a little asterisk or something to get me to a relevant article in Lynn's Stamp News?
It's an excellent suggestion. It's obviously not one that we are currently doing, but the potential is there.
That wouldn't take any time to implement, right?
No, it would happen really quick.
Okay, cool. I'll be waiting for that one then.
Yeah, we'll see it tomorrow.
But you do have these two great databases at hand, and it would be fun for there to be some crossover there.
No, it definitely is a consideration of mine. I'm trying to figure out ways that we can incorporate and do more with our Lynn's archive going back, because I'm trying to figure out the search functionality and what the capabilities of that are, and making sure all of our older issues and the PDFs we have of them have been OCR'd and work right. But there are a lot of other assets that we have that go even beyond Lynn's that we could offer in an archive system. So yes, it's definitely in the works.
So this is a question that is quite a weird one, and I'm not sure that most people who don't advertise.
I don't know where you're going with this.
No. Well, so it was about the advertising. You mentioned it earlier. If there was increased advertising, the pricing and everything. So this is a web-based subscription model that's constantly updating. But in the previous digital catalogs, people would buy them. Those ads would be there forever. The physical catalogs, they buy them. The ads are there forever. Do the ads change?
We don't have a number of ads that are in the system yet. But what it would be is it would be if you picked one country or a bunch of countries to have your advertisement appear, it would appear as a page in between the listings. Okay. So you kind of get a full, the proportions are 6 inches by 9 inches for one of the pages. So you would basically have that, and it would be purchased for the year's time period for when we'd update it, kind of mirroring the print catalog. So if you did volume 1 print, the deadline would be in April, and then you'd have that digitally for a year. So the print and digital ads are separate now.
Okay. Yeah, that's what my kind of question was there. That's interesting.
So Jay, you've been hard at work on this since the start of the pandemic, at least. I know it goes back even further than that. You have a product out finally. If time and money were, or I should say, manpower and money were no consideration, what is one thing you would? And we've grilled you about a bunch of things, but what is something you have in mind that's a long-term goal that you think could really revolutionize the subscription-based digital Scott catalog? What's your fever dream?
Oh, I really want to get an image of everything.
An image of every stamp ever issued by every country.
Ever issued by every country, and to have the largest, solid database where I know it was all scanned. That really is that stamp. Everything. And I mean, so one of the things that'll be coming this fall is, so in U.S. postal stationery, as you know, we don't show everything. We don't show nearly everything, not even close. I personally have scanned every piece of U.S. postal stationery minus 3 Scott numbers.
Wow.
So that will look stunning when we get the database tagged for that. So right there, that's one of those situations where you might actually be able to figure out what it is.
And there's no way that would ever appear in print. Obviously, would be ridiculous to image that in a physical catalog.
Yeah, that would be really hard. I mean, that's the cool thing about all of this is that the print limitations of size. Obviously, that's I don't have to worry about that for the digital side of things. I mean, as you are probably very well aware, paper and postage costs, shipping costs have not gone down at all to produce anything. However, we still maintain our commitment to provide the print catalogs. As I've jokingly said at stamp shows and to anybody, I'm just going to make the digital versions a whole lot cooler. So that'll do what it does. But we're going to continue to support print.
Really quick, just a word on print. I know that I would guess that the U.S. Specialized is reaching its maximum size.
There's no limit to how many pages you can make a book.
Maybe it is reaching its maximum size that people will tolerate or be able to carry.
And I know there you go.
Yeah, I know you've recently removed the United Nations from U.S. Specialized. Yes. Graded stamps are now their own volume. What are your thoughts? Will Specialized ever get split into 2 print volumes? Is there?
I could get in trouble for saying that, but no, I will not split it into 2 print volumes. There is an added cost to doing 2 books,
right?
Like a substantial added cost to doing 2 books. And if I can take that added cost and put it towards the digital stuff that we're doing, I would rather do that. So you mentioned the United Nations, that'll be very noticeable this fall when the U.S. Specialized comes out, because it'll be 2 full signatures, so about 120 pages lighter than before. So I think that's a major stepping stone. Now, I mean, there's one other section that I'm a little bit trying to figure out what to do at the moment, and I'm not too shy about talking about it, because the fit U.S. postage section could quadruple in size from the number of new ones that have popped up in the last year. So either that section is going to stay in, or it's going to become its own book, just because that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It almost become like the DATS error catalog.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it is a niche audience that would use that. And I think there's a wider audience that would use it outside of the U.S. Specialized catalog audience. I just have to figure out what's the right strategy. Do we do a snapshot in time where it's just like, okay, well, everything from 2016 to date, go check out this book and leave all the legacy counterfeits. I don't know if that's what you do. Leave that in there, or just take the whole section out, or there's a combination of things. So obviously I'd welcome any input from anybody on that front.
So those are for the print only, or has UN been removed from the digital US
No.
specialized?
So that's the interesting. If you have the US digital subscription, you'll continue to get everything that was historically in the US specialized catalog.
So even if you remove the counterfeits later, those are still...
the counterfeits will still stay in the digital one. I'm blanking. Yeah, the graded section and the definitive identifier are both in the digital US subscription, and the UN will stay there too. So
this is an instance where there is added, look, even though some people may balk at the price of the subscription, you are getting more than you get for your print catalog.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then all these extra images, the ease of being able to find everything. And it's always up to date. People have always asked me, like, well, what year is the catalog for the digital? And I'm like, it's just current.
Now. Yeah. What time is it?
Now,
Yeah.
So that's a learning curve.
It sounds to me, again, you've expressed your commitment to the printed catalog, which some people, I mean, look, myself included, like as much as I love the digital, I've got my print one on my desk at all times.
Yep.
But I guess an analogy that could be made is that, nobody had to outlaw the horse and buggy for the automobile to explode in popularity. And it sounds like your goal is to make the digital catalog so good that nobody wants the print catalog anymore. Rather than extinguishing it, you're just trying to organically replace it with a superior product. Is that fair to say?
I think, yeah.
Excellent. Logistics, where can people go? What's the elevator pitch to?
Yeah, so Amos Advantage. There's a digital link on the top of that. I do have an exclusive for your viewers. So if they use the coupon code CWP10, they would get $10 off of one of the volume 1 through 6 books for a 1-year subscription of that. And if they use CWP50, they'd get $50 off of the digital catalog volume 1 through 6 set.
Wow.
So Jay picked CWP10 because it's been 10 weeks since we did an episode.
That's right.
Okay, so CWP10 is $10 off a single volume.
Yep.
CWP50, $50 off the complete set of volumes. That is fantastic. That's a great offer.
So that'll be basically 30 days from the date you guys air this show,
which will be this coming Monday.
That'll be Monday.
Turn things over fast.
So yeah, we need people to get on that. Hopefully, you'll see a little spike in sales.
Sounds good. No pressure, right?
No, we'll see. I'm going to ask you for data afterwards. See who puts their money where their mouth is. No, that's awesome. That sounds like a great way for somebody to get their foot in the door, try it out for a year, and see. Again, I'm always going to have a special place in my heart for the physical, but there's something to be said about it. Do you know how many pounds volume 1 through 6 is? If I carried them with me, have you ever weighed them?
I haven't weighed them myself. They probably break our small scales. I know my personal scale at home, it would not handle that.
Just the amount of life it gives to your back carrying all those around to a show is probably worth it. So
that's what a number of dealers actually said as I've mentioned it. They're like, wait, I don't have to bring that full set along with me. I could just sold.
Yeah, I bought an iPad specifically for Scott Catalog. I have no need for the iPad other than that.
It works great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for people listening, where can they expect to see Linz and Scott and Amos and you on the road for the rest of the year? Where are you heading to next?
So Marty Frankovic, he lists our new issues for the Scott Catalog. He's going to be at Capex. He's going to be showing off the digital catalog to anybody who goes there. Our booth is near the entrance, near Canada Post, or across from Canada Post.
Awesome.
And then we're going to have a larger booth, so one of the 2 booth spaces at the summer stamp show at the end of August in Sacramento. So we'll be out there for that. And I'll be there, Marty will be there, and our Dave Hartwig, our new associate editor for Linz. The 3 of us are going out for the show. And then
Awesome.
a number of other individuals from the company will likely be there as well. So
Fantastic. Jay, I'm really glad you finally joined us. It's been a long time coming, and I thank you personally. One last favor. Can we have you on again at some point in the future to pick maybe your top 5 first day cover stories? Your first day ceremony stories.
I'm sure we can figure out something. There's nothing of interest on that front.
I disagree. You've told me some awesome first day ceremony stories. So I would love your quest to visit all 50 states for first day ceremonies. I think you're the second person on the planet to do it.
Yeah, for all 50 states. Yeah,
for a first day ceremony. I would love to talk more about that at some point in the future too. So I would appreciate having you back on. Not as Jay of Amos Media, but as Jay first day ceremony enthusiast.
I'm sure we can figure something out.
Yeah,
done.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Anything else, Jay?
I think that's it.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us, for coming to do this.
Appreciate you making time for this.
Yep, no problem.
Awesome. Michael, I am really glad. A lot of discussion about the digital Scott catalog lately. Yeah. I'm like really thrilled that Jay himself, the guy behind this whole project, joined us. I love going directly to the source, clarify some things, learn some things, hear about plans for the future. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that he was able to take the time out of his day for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it exactly. It's what Jay said. They're putting a lot of work and effort into the digital itself, scanning all of those items. I get it.
And it's really easy for us to sit back and throw out like it should do this and it should be hyperlinked to the entire. Jay wanted to get a product, right? Jay wanted to get a product to market, and he did. And it's a solid product, and it's going to grow, and it's going to get better. And I'm really excited to see what becomes of this.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that our listeners have an exclusive discount code that we will put in the description.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think anyone, actually, other people have done that for us before.
Yeah, Larry did. Larry Haber.
Exactly, Larry Haber did for the Collectors Club. But it's still fun to have an exclusive code.
It is still
makes
fun
me
to
feel
have.
makes me feel like real podcasters. And now that my favorite podcast is gone, we need to step up and fill their shoes.
A different one, not ours.
No. My second
We're
favorite.
back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're back. This is my favorite podcast again. But no, this was a lot of fun to get back in the swing of things. And I look forward to keeping it up. So we haven't done the spiel in a while. I'm not sure I'm going to remember it. But we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. Yeah. We are on YouTube, Conversations with Philatelists. You can watch this. We are online at philatelypodcast.com. Mm-hmm. You can write us at philatelypodcast@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. I'm Charles L. Epting on Twitter, I think. I haven't checked Twitter in several months.
Really? I still check it every day.
Yeah, I see that you I think Twitter is so desperate to get me back on. They're like, look at what Michael liked today. I get emails from Twitter like recommending stuff that you've interacted with. But I will, after this episode goes live, I will get back on there. You are Michael J. Court.
Yep.
Correct. But yeah, this is a lot of fun. Let's get back in the swing of things. Let's do it again real soon.
Yeah. We'll try and get an interview for next week. Also, if we don't get an interview, we will do just talking about what we've been up to these past 2 months.
That's a great idea.
That we were so busy that we couldn't. It was a lot of. I had a free day and Charles was busy, and then Charles had a free day and I was busy, and it was a lot of where we were talking.
I'm not sure I had a free day.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was one day I marked it on my calendar.
I'm just joking. No, again, we've been talking stamp stuff nonstop, and I want to channel that back into the podcast. So we will definitely get something back up next week as well. But no, it's just good to be doing this again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And,
absolutely.
See you next time.
I'll catch you real soon, Michael.
All right, bye.
See ya.